In politics, you've got your expected wins, and then you've got the earthquakes. Today, we're going to break down the anatomy of a political earthquake, looking at the digital strategy behind Zohran Mamdani's absolutely stunning primary victory, a campaign that basically threw out the old rulebook and wrote a new one for the internet age.
And it all kind of starts with this. By the time the primary rolled around, Mamdani's online presence was so powerful, so dominant, that his name literally became a meme for getting instant likes. I mean, this is the kind of organic viral buzz that political campaigns spend millions trying to create. And here it was, just happening. And that online hype, it wasn't just noise. It translated into a real-world political shockwave. An insurgent Democratic Socialist candidate managed to defeat a political giant, a former governor, with all the name recognition and money in the world. On paper, it just wasn't supposed to happen. Which brings us to the big question we're digging into today. How on earth did this happen? How did a small, scrappy campaign turn memes and viral videos into a genuine political movement that could actually topple an institution? Well, to really get what happened here, you have to understand that these two campaigns weren't just running against each other. They were operating in completely different centuries. I mean, just look at this. The difference is night and day. On one side, you have Team Cuomo running a classic old-school campaign, dropping millions of dollars on TV ads and paper mailers. And on the other, you have Team Mamdani acting more like a YouTube creator, focusing on cheap, shareable, viral content, and actually talking to people online. And the results of those two strategies? Well, they speak for themselves. Online, this wasn't even a competition. It was a blowout. For every single time someone mentioned Andrew Cuomo on social media, Zohran Mamdani was getting mentioned over 30 times. He completely, utterly owned the digital conversation. As one professor at NYU put it so perfectly, the gap here wasn't just about strategy, it was generational. It was like one campaign was speaking the fluent language of the internet, and the other was still trying to figure out how to send a fax. So who was behind this 21st century operation? You might think it was some big, expensive political consulting firm, but nope. It was something else entirely. The creative masterminds were this small, Brooklyn-based studio called Melted Solids, and they didn't operate like a political firm at all. They were more like an indie film crew focused on one thing, being authentic and making stuff that would, as they put it, win the internet. Now, their secret sauce was simple, but it was brilliant. Every single viral stunt had to connect directly to a real policy. So jumping into the freezing cold ocean wasn't just some crazy antic, it was a visual for freezing rent. It made these complex political ideas sticky, memorable, and super shareable. And crucially, this was never just about making the candidate look cool. The whole point was to use Mamdani as a kind of microphone, a way to listen to and amplify the stories of regular working-class people who felt like nobody in power was paying attention to them. And you know you're doing something right when even your biggest ideological opponents have to give you credit. Even folks who absolutely hated his policies had to step back and admit, okay, the way he communicates his ideas is incredibly compelling. Okay, so making awesome viral content is one thing. That's step one. But the really hard part, the part where most campaigns fail, is turning all that online buzz into actual, real-world action. So this was the million-dollar question for the campaign. How do you actually bridge that huge gap between someone passively liking a post on Instagram and getting them to show up on a Saturday to knock on doors or, actually vote? Their answer, once again, came from outside the world of politics. They looked at what online creators and e-commerce brands were using, and they found this tool, an Instagram chatbot called ManyChat. It's designed to make it ridiculously easy to turn a passive follower into an active participant. And think about how seamless this is. A supporter sees a post and comments the word volunteer. Instantly, a message pops up in their DMs with a sign-up link. They can do the whole thing right there, without ever leaving Instagram. It removed all the friction and turned every single post into a potential organizing tool. And this is where the story gets really mind-blowing, the cost. You'd think a tool this powerful would be thousands of dollars, right? Well, the total cost to run this entire automated organizing machine for 2 critical months of the campaign was just $318. So, for less than the price of a fancy dinner, the campaign sent out over 77,000 automated messages. That is a massive volume of engagement that their small staff could have never, ever handled on their own. And the payoff was huge.
In just a matter of weeks, they collected over 3,000 brand new email addresses, building up their most valuable asset, their email list, for pennies on the dollar. So let's zoom out. When you put all of these pieces together, the scrappy creative, the authentic message, the clever tech, what does this victory really tell us about where politics is headed? At the end of the day, it wasn't one single magic trick. The win came from this powerful combination of things working together. Authentic content that people actually wanted to watch, which fueled a real-world ground game, which was then supercharged by this incredibly efficient digital tool that connected everything. And all of this leaves us with one big final question. Was this whole thing a perfect storm? The right candidate with the right message in the right city at the right time? Or have we just seen the blueprint for the future of political upsets? That's the question campaigns all over the country are asking themselves right now.